Hi, I'm super excited today. My name is Dr. Abby, or should I say Dr. Joseph? Look at me, my garment has changed. The prison clothes are gone. I look so important. Did I tell you? I live in the palace and I'm second in command only to Pharaoh the king. And how did that happen? God. God did it. If you listen to our other stories in the past 2 to 3 weeks, you'll get a good background to what has happened so far. But Joseph has come a long, long way. He has matured from that little silly boy. Now he's a mature, responsible man in the palace. He's married. He's got 2 children. He's helped them in Egypt to manage when they had loads and loads and loads of food. And then the famine comes and he's helped them to manage that also. The king just told everyone, go to Joseph. Joseph will sort you out. And he did. He started to open the barns where they stored the food when the famine came. And there was a way in which he sold food to people in exchange for money, and people ate, people didn't die, and they were so happy, so proud of him. But remember where Joseph is from. Far away, where his father is, where his brothers are. He remembers them, but he's far away. He doesn't even know if, are they alive? Are they all right? He doesn't know. His life has changed. And then far away back there was also famine. So the famine was all over the world. And his father, Jacob, called his older brothers and said, I hear there is food in Egypt. Take everything you need, go to Egypt, take money, go and buy food and bring food back to us so that we can eat, so that we won't die. But Benjamin, my last boy, he's not going with you. He's staying with me. You all know what happened to his brother, Joseph. So Benjamin stays with me. The 10 of you go and look for food for us. And they went all the way to Egypt. But remember, Joseph is no longer the Joseph that they know. He's changed. He's dressed like an Egyptian. He looks like an Egyptian. He speaks their language. They could never have known that that was Joseph, their brother. And then because they had sold him and given him up for dead, they didn't even think that, such a good thing would have happened to him. But Joseph recognized them. Wow. He was so overwhelmed. He would leave the room. He would go and cry. He was happy to see them, but he was also overwhelmed. And also he had to check some things before he could reveal himself. So he let them come in, and then he pretended to be strict, and he did things like, no, you're spies, I don't believe you, you didn't come to buy food. And the more he challenged them, the more they told him a lot about themselves. And that way Joseph was able to gather that his father and his brother Benjamin was still alive because they weren't there. So when he accused them, they were so scared, and they were like, no, please don't do this to us. We're 12 brothers, one has died. Imagine, they were saying he died because in their head they had given him up for dead, and our father, he's old, he's back home, and things like that. And so Joseph said, okay, that's fine. For me to test that what you have said is true, I'm going to hold one of you and leave him in my prison. He stays there. The rest of you go back home, go and bring that little brother. Then I'll be able to tell you, I'll be able to make up my mind if what you're telling me is true. And they were like, oh my God, our daddy will never release Benjamin to us and things like that. But then they went back. And when they had packed their bags of grain, Joseph gave instruction to his servants, his Egyptian servants. He said, return all their money, put it in their bags of grains, return their money. Joseph, he's matured, a kind man. He returned their money. Now, halfway home, When they opened their bags of grain, they found the money. They were so scared. They were like, oh my God, the king is going to say we stole it. And they were really distraught. But they continued and they went home. And they told their father all that had happened. And their father said, not a chance. You're not going with Benjamin. I'm not giving you Benjamin. But a time came, they had finished eating everything. They were hungry. They couldn't die of hunger. You know, now they're married, they have wives, children, and all. So they told their father, we've got to go back. And the oldest boy said, you know what? Trust me. Give me Benjamin. I promise you with my life, I'll bring him back. Finally, Jacob agreed. And so he gave them money to buy grain. And the previous money that they found in their bags, he gave it to them. And they went back. When they went back, and Joseph saw his brother, he saw Benjamin, he had to go in the room again. He was so overjoyed. He wept, he cried. He said they should set a table so that he can eat with, these visitors. He had not revealed who he was. He was still going to do that. But he sat them according to their age. The brothers were so surprised. They were like, how come they know our age? And they sat us according to our age. But they didn't even know it was Joseph then. And they were speaking Hebrew, their own language. And Joseph could understand and hear them. And he could see that they had changed from the brothers that they were when they told him, remember? So he could see they had changed and all. And he cried, and then he said, okay, that's fine. You can go back. And again, packed their grains in the bag, did the same thing. But in Benjamin's own, he put something. I'll tell you what it was. When they were halfway, that's how they started to hear gallop, 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 gallop. And then the king's soldiers came to them and said, stop! How could you have done something so wicked to the king? And they were like, what did we do? We're his servants, will never do it. One of you has stolen his golden cup. And everybody was like, no, we wouldn't do that. Even the money that was left the last time, we brought it back. They opened the bags of grain. And by the time they got to Benjamin's one, there it was, the king's golden cup. And then the soldiers were like, you know what? No, he's going back with us. He's going to jail, blah, 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 blah. And the brothers were crying. They were like, no, this cannot happen. Our father will die. We already lost a brother. We cannot lose another one. And they went back to Egypt. Of course, they didn't go back home. What are they going to tell Jacob? They went back to Egypt and they told Joseph all that. And Joseph was looking at them like, wow, you've changed. You're no longer that petty, saying, oh, how come our father likes this one more than us? We're going to see him die. And things like that. They had changed. And Joseph and he couldn't hold it anymore. And he told them, I am Joseph. They were happy. They were scared. They were worried. They thought he was going to retaliate, all the bad things they'd done for him. But remember, Joseph has God. God has lifted him. He's changed. He's dropped all the silly habits. And that's what happens when you come to Jesus. He helps you drop all the filthy things, all the things that are sinful that you were doing before. And it changes you into a new man headed for the palace. Joseph had changed and he said, no, come hug me. And they did all that and he said, go back home, go bring my father, go bring your family, come and stay in Egypt until the famine is over. And people went to tell Pharaoh, the king, and Pharaoh was so happy for Joseph and he gave them a land. He gave them a land in Egypt called Goshen, and he told them to stay in Goshen. So they went and they brought Jacob. Jacob was happy to see his son again. And they all settled with all their families, their animals, everything in Goshen. And that is how the children of Israel. Remember, Jacob is now called Israel. That is how they found themselves in Egypt, in Goshen, in Egypt. We'll take our story from there the next time. But before I go, the lessons left and learned. Joseph was not vindictive. He didn't retaliate. He didn't pay evil for evil. Never pay evil for evil. If people have hurt you in the past, forgive. But stop. Before you let them back into your life, you must test them. And that was what Joseph did. With all the putting the money back, listening to them speak in Hebrew because he could hear them. He wanted to see if they've changed their ways, if they're sober, if they've now learned to love Benjamin, if they've learned to be truthful. Before you let anybody who has been bad and maltreated you in the past, before you let them back, yes, we're children of God, we embrace everybody. Stop and check. Check and make sure that they've stopped doing it. You don't want somebody who has bullied you to come back and continue to bully you. No, you forgive them, you say hello, you're nice to them, but they're not going to be that close. Remember Jesus' disciples, those 12? You won't let them be that close to you again. You set your boundaries. But for Joseph, his brothers had changed, but he set that test. He made sure that test was there before letting them back into his life. So always check by the leading of God. And lastly, the sky is your limit. No matter how low you seem now, walk with God. You will get to the palace by his grace, because you're a child of God, a young boy and girl like me, friends of the Lord, gunning for the best, wanting to please God all the time. He will take us there. Our future is wonderful and is bright, and that's the story of Joseph. Till the next time when we meet, it's bye from Dr. Abby on Tell Me the Stories of Jesus. Bye.